I see you. Theo, I see you. Princess Sharon, I see you. Um, thank you. I'll catch up with you guys in just a few seconds.
Hi, Mark. Our team is on standby. As soon as we start, we go live.
Thanks, Martina. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to begin. I've seen a friend, I think it must be Jones, who is greeting us all the way from Atlanta, Georgia. Was that correct? I think I saw a greeting. Yeah, from Atlanta, Georgia. Thanks. Citizens of the world, it's a pleasure to be here this evening. And evening here, I'm referring to Kenya time, Nairobi time, or Njoro time. Our university, that is Egerton University, is situated in Njoro, Nakuru County. I was privileged to be there this morning to participate in the opening session of this great forum that Dr. Tiga will just tell us a little bit about. Today, we are honored to have our esteemed team of panelists who will be sharing with us their thoughts. There will be an opportunity for the team to also, for the participants to actually ask some questions. And I will attempt to the best of my ability to moderate. So to just introduce my panelists just by name, I have been cultured properly by Professor Pielo Lumumba that you never need to say much about people. You just basically share their names. And if they need to say more about themselves, they can. But again, given the world of artificial intelligence and the chatbots that we have, you can inquire more about people from digital platforms. We have on the panel, we have Karen Blackmon, Professor Karen Blackmon from Dartmouth University, all the way in New Hampshire, USA. Karen, just wave. Thank you. We have Professor Theo Chambers. Professor Theo Chambers is joining us all the way from Jamaica. He lives at a place called Lucy or Lucia, depending on who taught you English. Lucy is between Montego Bay and Negril, Jamaica. That's an opportunity for research. You can figure out. Professor Theo, just wave. Thanks, Prof. We have Dr. Moses Tiga, who is the director of ICT at Egerton University and one of the brains or committee members of this summit. Dr. Moses Thiga also sits with me at a task force that I chair. Dr. Thiga, just wave. Great. That's the team of panelists, and Professor P.L. Lumumba, who is our keynote speaker, is joining us from Rwanda. I think he just arrived in Rwanda from Botswana. He happens to be an African who lives in Nairobi, but spends his time in the rest of the world. Professor,
Thank
just
you.
wave. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I can see your princess is quite happy. Sharon is quite happy to see you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we have started. I'm already 4 minutes into Moses Thiga's time. Moses will take 2 minutes, and then 2 minutes. Just give us a preamble of the summit, and then I will introduce the next speakers on the panel.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mark Matunga, our esteemed panelists, and our attendees. It's an exciting moment this evening to have this discussion, AI, the digital Pandora's box, which is happening, I don't want to say on the sidelines, but is as part of the AI summit happening at Egerton University this week. Egerton University is one of the oldest institutions of higher learning in Kenya. We are in Nakuru, on Njoro, Nakuru, which is about 3 hours out of Nairobi, our capital city. We have this AI summit going on, and the purpose, the theme of this summit is generative AI in higher education, candid confrontations. And the idea of the candid confrontations arises from the fact that there are a lot of discussions going on around generative AI, especially in Kenyan higher education, but not many have come up front to discuss it boldly and also to make bold statements regarding the use of generative AI in higher education. It's a 3-day event, and today we did look at generative AI in teaching. Tomorrow we look at generative AI in research, and on Thursday we look at generative AI in learning. We anticipate that as a key outcome of this particular engagement over these 3 days is that the university community, researchers, students, and faculty alike will be appreciative of generative AI. The administration and those that make policy will also be appreciative of generative AI. Ultimately, our goal is to have an enabling environment where we can use generative AI responsibly and productively for what we do at the university. So that's our 3-day program, and we are glad to have this particular discussion again, another candid discussion. And I'm looking forward to the engagements, and welcome to Egerton University in a virtual sense. We do hope maybe next year we could have you in person for this very great event. Thank you so much, and once again, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Moses. I am glad to also see Daisy, who is joining us from the North Carolina State University, but also attending this event. Ladies and gentlemen, by the way, the system guys, can you basically reconfigure the presentation so that the speaker is actually on the screen? Then the participants actually should be on the right side. I hope you understand what I mean, the system people. So, ladies and gentlemen, I was privileged this morning to actually do this 5-6 hour drive. That is 3 hours to Egerton University and 3 hours back to Nairobi. So I'm running on 6 hours of road time. And I can confirm to you that I got my, what do you call it? My badge. I needed it for this event, for this meeting. My name is Mark Matunga. I was privileged some time back to spend some 10 years with Microsoft. I also spent about 5 years with Intel Corporation. And close to about 9 years ago, I set up the Africa Center for Advanced Technology, the organization that I run. And from within that organization, we have been able to spin out a number of businesses that are also running their own. That is the Cybersecurity Institute, CSI. Another project that we are working on right now that actually is already running live is Simba AI, which is a chatbot at the same level with all other AIs, AI chatbots that you know. I will not spend time to list them. You will, at the end of this session or at some point, somebody will actually post the link of Simba AI so that you can also interact with it. At this point, you probably need to know that we were given an interesting topic. The topic that we're given is AI, the digital Pandora's box. And of course, Moses, it's not Pandora with as plural, Pandoras as plural, Pandoras as possessive, because it's just one Pandora. And Pandora here, I know many of us have attempted to actually use this sort of phrase, and Professor Lumumba and Professor Theo will maybe touch on what Pandora's box is all about. But with the knowledge, the basic knowledge that I know about Pandora's box, it is a Greek myth of this great woman, the first woman that was created in the context of the Greek mythology. And out of her, she was given a gift in a box. And out of our own curiosity, she attempted and opened that box, and out of it came a lot of items, most of the items depicting calamities. But one of the items remained in the box, and that was hope. To the extent that I've been given that information, again, from our chatbot, I will leave it at that. So that we actually we will attempt to inspect whether AI is a Pandora's box with a lot of issues, or there is hope inside that actually transports us into the future on the platform of higher education. With that, allow me to introduce our keynote, Professor Pielo Lumumba, whom all of you know. And Prof, I will allow you to take it away from now.
Thank you very much, Mark, and thank you very much all the panelists here present. I am glad to join you, and I always precede a presentation in a forum such as this by saying that I claim no expertise in the area of artificial intelligence, but I am sufficiently curious to be able to highlight a few key issues. Several years ago, a Kenyan whom I had the honor and privilege of working with, the late Professor Ali Mazurui, delivered a speech in the year 2001, and he made many statements. But the statement that stood out and still stands out is that Africa has the inclination to consume what she does not produce and to produce what she does not consume. And I believe that that statement is true of artificial intelligence. Many of you will remember at the turn of this century, it was said that this was Africa's century. And the world was talking about the fourth and fifth industrial revolution, and saying that if Africa had missed out on the others, this was the opportunity for Africa to leapfrog. We are in the first quarter of the century that we said would be ours, and today every mouth talks about artificial intelligence. Every mouth talks about how artificial intelligence is revolutionizing and will revolutionize human activities. And those who are curious are asking, what will be the place of Africa in the scheme of things? It is true that today we have pockets in different parts of Africa and outside of the continent of Africa that are consuming the products, if you may, of artificial intelligence. And it is not lost on me that the organizers have chosen to talk about Pandora's box. And Dr. Matunga has already told us what happened after Zeus gave out the Pandora's box and it ended up in the hands of Pandora. And out of curiosity, opened it, and all manner of ailments came out. And the last one to come to soothe humanity was hope. Today, we celebrate artificial intelligence, and indeed it cannot be gainsaid that there are many things that are happening in different areas of our daily lives that are animated by artificial intelligence. So that holding all factors constant, we can say without fear of contradiction that AI is changing the world and will indeed change the world. But the question is, the foundational question is, whose AI? When we talk about AI in African universities or we talk about AI in African institutions, it cannot be denied that the technological backbone of artificial intelligence is housed in Europe, America, or Asia, which means that if there was the desire on the part of these enablers to shut us out, we would, in a manner of speaking, go back to the dark ages. I'm therefore suggesting to this panel that even as we wrap our minds around the advantages that will come with AI, we ask the foundational question, whose AI? We have a saying in my mother tongue that when you are milking a cow that you've borrowed, you always look toward the gate because the owner may come for it at any time. The artificial intelligence that we are consuming in Africa is a borrowed cow. And the sooner we have our own cow, the safer we are. And I'm not for one moment suggesting that science knows no boundaries. Science does not know any boundaries. But I'm saying that the time is now for us to interact with other civilizations in other parts of the world so that we are able to understand the essence of artificial intelligence as a technology that is empowering. That is one of the things that artificial intelligence definitely does in every field, whether you are talking about education, whether you are talking about health, whether you are talking about the banking, whether you are talking about different areas. It cannot be denied that artificial intelligence is an empowerer, if you allow me to coin that word. Empowerer in the sense that the things that required us to labor are now enabled so very easily. So that when you are having this conversation, I want you to tease out the manner and the mode in which artificial intelligence is empowering and can continue to empower. I also want you to consider how artificial intelligence is capable of helping us in the area of research. If you visit many universities, and Professor, it is true even of Egerton University, which is one of the oldest learning institutions. If you visit our libraries, if you visit what we claim to be schools of engineering, or to be schools of medicine or schools of law, you could very well be talking about Europe in the 1960s. That is the state in which we are. You may have elements and aspects of artificial intelligence in the vice chancellor's office or in the chief librarian's office. But the truth, many of our universities, particularly the public universities, and I say this being true in most parts of Africa. How is artificial intelligence helping us in the area of research? Are we merely talking about it as a scientific curiosity? Are we investing in artificial intelligence? Is our research being enabled by artificial intelligence? That is the question that I pose to you. The third thing that we talk about is in the area of engagement with the citizenry. Today, if you go to many countries, there is an attempt to improve tax collection, for example, by the deployment of technology which is enabled by artificial intelligence. But you can see the resistance. Many of our bureaucrats do not want artificial intelligence to stand in the way of their corrupt ways. How are we going to create a culture that is going to ensure that artificial intelligence is deployed in a creative manner that enhances governance systems? And I stand to be corrected in this regard. Artificial intelligence does not exist in spite of the ecosystem in which it operates. So that artificial intelligence is neutral. And I use the term here neutral to mean that it can be good or bad. If it is manipulated by individuals who have evil intention. So the most important thing in this regard is for us to ask ourselves, how are we deploying artificial intelligence and what are the ethical issues that are going to inform how we consume and deploy artificial intelligence? Is it going to enhance transparency in the manner in which we run governmental affairs? Is it going to enhance effectiveness and efficiency? Is it going to enable the monitoring of the activities that we engage in? Because ultimately, the mother question is this: why do we want artificial intelligence or indeed any other systems? The reason why we want all these things is because we want to improve the quality of people's lives. We must never forget that. We want people to travel better and safely. We want people, when they are sick, to get treatment in an efficient way. We want our young men and women to go to school and they learn in a manner that is going to enable them to compete in the world. We want to be efficient in the manner in which we collect and use tax. We want to be efficient in the manner in which we conduct research. We want to be efficient in the manner in which we communicate. We want to be efficient in the manner in which we order our banking systems. We want to be efficient in the manner in which we conduct trade. We are now talking about Africa Continental Free Trade Area and Africa Agenda 2063. We want to be able to ensure that payment systems are harmonized so that if I'm taking my goods from Addis Ababa in Ethiopia and they are going to Dakar in Senegal or from Swakopmund in Namibia to Tunis in Tunisia, there is a system that is seamless. This is how I understand the value of artificial intelligence that is going to make decision making to be a lot more efficient, and in that way to ensure that what we do is done in an efficient manner. And if that in our understanding is what and how we want artificial intelligence to be available to us, to enable us to engage a lot more, then we must, in the nature of things, be the ones who control the levers that are going to enable us to use this product in an effective manner. Dr. Matunga and his colleagues are beginning to pioneer in this regard with their Simba product, which one hopes and prays, and not just prayer, because prayer without action is superstition, but action a lot more, is going to put us in a space where we are able to compete at the same level with the Chinese, with the Koreans, with the Japanese, with the Europeans, with the Indians, with the Americans, and therefore sit at a table where we are going to say, We are consumers of artificial intelligence. And if this artificial intelligence is going to be enabled through the use of satellites, that African countries are capable of saying that we too have our own satellites, which provide the backbone which will enable us to consume this product in the manner that is going to help our people. I believe, therefore, that by way of teasing out the issues, mine is merely to do what I have done. And you who are expert in these areas, ask uncomfortable questions. Those of you who are in universities, ask, what are you consuming? Are you still relying on books that are written in Europe and America and China in order to understand artificial intelligence? Or you are using those books in order to open new paths? Are you engaged in research, knowing as we do that artificial intelligence is something that is dynamic and is changing by the day? What amounts of money are being reserved by African governments and by institutions for research in this area? Are your students engaging in research? Are the academics in your institutions engaged in research? Are you collaborating with institutions outside of your own institution for the purpose of ensuring that you are keeping abreast with developments in the area of research, and therefore you are consuming artificial intelligence, which is not obsolete? These are the things that I put on the table in the knowledge that you will interrogate them. And upon interrogation, you'll keep this conversation alive, because conversations about and around artificial intelligence are conversations that will continue to be numerous and continue to be unraveling new areas of engagement. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I believe I've served on your plates critical things which you ought now to engage with in a much more pointed manner, being the experts that you are. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you, Prof. And thanks for provoking us. That's exactly what you are supposed to do. And no other person could have done it in the manner that you have. I appreciate your contribution. Prof is joining us from Professor Pielo Lumumba is joining us from Rwanda, where he just arrived this morning or this evening from Botswana. Thank you, Prof, for those thought-provoking comments. Allow me to bring in Karen. I will switch you with Theo. I would like to sandwich you because Prof has provoked our thoughts around research. And I know that Professor Karen Blackmon, who happens to be now a good friend of mine from Dartmouth Medical School in the US, is doing some research both in Kenya and in the US. And I think that it might be useful for you to come in and make some just general comments akin to the conversation that we had 3 weeks ago. I was privileged to visit with Professor Blackmon at Dartmouth College 3 weeks ago, I think. No, I think about a month ago. And we had a round table, an informal round table with about 6 or 7 other professors discussing the issue around artificial intelligence in higher education. And I think that conversation, Professor Karen, really provoked my thoughts. And it is part of the reason I asked that you actually come and join this panel and just share with us what you are doing in this area, especially in the health domain, and how you're using artificial intelligence to achieve issues of research. Over to you, Professor Blackman.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mark. I am very grateful to have this invitation to be here. Being in a room with Africans and Caribbeans has always been a well of hope for me as a young student who spent a year in college in Kenya. It was the first time I felt that there was a sense of hope for the power of education to transform someone's understanding of the world. And that's why we send our young people to do study abroad, because it expands their world. And we often get buried in the despair of our immediate daily lives. And when you travel and you meet others from other places, you get that grain of hope. And I feel that Pandora's box analogy is very apt, that with all the despair that we sometimes feel in the world, the hope has come from education, from healthcare, from research. And that well has also of hope has come from travel and meeting of like minds in these settings. So thank you for inviting me to be here. I'm also an associate professor at Aga Khan University in Nairobi, and we have ongoing research studies in brain health and understanding how to live well for as long as possible. So I saw here that Princess Sharon from Jamaica, you also do work in health and well-being, and we believe that to age well, you have to live well. So how can AI empower us to live well, to strengthen our brains, to contribute positively to our economies, and to offer other people a sense of hope for their futures and transformative experiences? So since I've been working in Nairobi over the past 3 years with the Brain and Mind Institute, we've been developing new tools that are grounded in large language models and artificial intelligence. And the idea is that we develop tools for the detection of certain brain health conditions that can complicate people's quality of life. But in order to do that and to leverage AI successfully, we have to be sure that it's fair, that the tools we develop and utilize are not baked in bias from other countries, from the global north, that the tools have been scrutinized to root out any sources of unfairness or bias. And when it comes to large language models, that's very tough, because some of the tools that we use are very much influenced by large language models. So Mark Matunga's work to improve the embedding the tokenizing of indigenous languages and development of large language models that could be utilized in settings where people are using their indigenous languages is a fairness issue, and it's a diagnostic issue in healthcare to be sure that we are offering people the best tools to accomplish the goal, which is better health, which is ultimately, as Professor Lumumba was saying, overall quality of life, to live longer and to live well. So as part of the discussions with Mark Matunga, and I appreciated that visit a lot, we thought, how can we leverage some of these newer developments to increase the fairness of large language models? How can we work together to improve diagnosis in healthcare? And also, how can we work together to improve the education of the next generation as they design and develop new tools? So not only am I immersed in research in healthcare, but also in capacity building and training in how to think about measurement of brain health and interventions to improve brain health. So we have a whole cadre of youth that come through, and we mentor them with the idea that ultimately they will be at the forefront of new tool development and shaping how AI looks, how large language models look, and how they are integrated into healthcare. So we have postdoctoral fellows in Nairobi that are actively doing that and trying to improve the fairness of diagnostic tools. And finally, the last point I would like to think about, with education specifically and capacity building, I really like what Professor Lumumba had to say with when you're milking the cow, keeping an eye on the gate, because I know that feeling well, and that, at any moment in time, you feel that things could be taken away. So what do you have in your pocket that you can walk with? And education has always been that. A degree has always been that when you have a degree, nobody can take that. Education, nobody can take. And it's the best antidote to what we call deaths of despair. That when people become depressed, education is an antidote. And by offering education and by offering capacity building, it's always been my way of giving back to the countries and settings that have cared for me as a developing scientist. And that was Kenya, that was Grenada, and the Caribbean. And so as part of that, I always want to continue the exchange to empower young people to develop their research skills, to obtain their degrees, and to offer hope to the rest of their community, who will always be empowered with knowledge. So AI can help with that, but only if it's done in a fair way. And that has to come through these types of exchanges and communication. So thank you, Mark Matunga, for inviting me. And I'll keep it short because I'm really wanting to hear what other people have to say.
Karen, before you go, I know you were busy hosting us about a month ago at Dartmouth campus, but I want you to just take about a minute or two and share with us what was the kind of discussion we had with the other 7 professors that were sitting there. You remember the professor from mathematics, professor of computer science, professor of chemistry, Tesson, professor of medicine as well. Just if you can remember the conversation, just share with us in the scenario of higher ed, some of the issues that even the professors at Dartmouth College, which is actually an Ivy League school at the same level as Harvard and MIT, are also dealing with. And I think it would be good for these professors, for the community here also to understand and know that it is global issues and benefits. If you can remember the conversation.
Well, I think, the general concerns are that, students learners at any stage, trainees rely on AI, not as support for their learning, but really as an auxiliary, or that they don't learn as much because they're relying on the tools to do their thinking for them. That's our concern as educators, that training people in how to use AI responsibly and ethically, so that if they're freeing up their time by doing something quicker, that they have to make sure, first of all, that before they automatize something, that they know the general steps that are involved. And they have to be able to think through that before they then rely on a tool to automate it. And then when they free up their time, what are they using that for? Is it to enhance the general public good and to use their critical thinking skills to be able to shape the direction of their communities in a positive way? Because if AI is used just to answer a question, just to get the assignment done, and essentially their free time is spent not necessarily furthering or strengthening their mind, or thinking about how to take and translate whatever they're developing into the betterment of their communities, then really AI is leading and not following. And the question I asked you the next day over text comes back to the Yeats poem: are we the dancer or are we the dance? Is AI leading us, or are we using it to fulfill our goals? And what are our goals? I believe and very much agree it's overall quality of life, the betterment of humans, longer lives and better lives and ethical lives where we contribute positively to our surroundings. So if we're using AI towards that goal, that's my ground truth. But if if it's not being used in that way, if it's leading us down nefarious paths, then we have to put checks and guardrails and somehow change that trajectory. Well, I don't know if I've captured the heart of what you, from those discussions. It's a big responsibility when there's 7 other professors who had much better points than me, and I'll do my best. But if you feel there's something that, a thread that, you wanted to recapture, please feel free.
Absolutely. So that will come in the Q&A when the participants actually throw out questions as well. But for now, thank you so much for those comments, and even for the research that you're doing both in Kenya and the Caribbean and other places. For now, allow me, guys, to bring in Professor Theo Chambers, who is joining us from Jamaica. Professor Theo Chambers, I think, has written something about Pandora's box, and so he probably will touch on it a little bit. But without spending more time on this, Prof, take the mic.
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. First of all, I want to thank you so much.
Put him on the screen.
Thank you so much for inviting me here. And I want to make one statement before I proceed. And that statement is, there's nothing artificial about artificial intelligence. We need to stop spreading that news that this is artificial. There's a thing called the Turing test. And the Turing test states that if you are blindfolded and have an interview with a human being and with a computer, and you cannot tell the difference between the both of them, then we have reached a point where this is no fake news, this is not artificial, this is something else. Also, we need to understand that a chimp and a human has approximately 99% exact DNA. And that 1% difference, even though our brain also is different, makes it impossible for a human and a chimp to sit around a table and have a rational conversation. So whatever it is that can sit around a table or communicate with human and have a rational conversation is not artificial. Because if it's able to mimic every clone of a voice, take the medical test and pass it, take the law test that man created and passed it, beat human at every game that we have ever created, this is something more powerful than we can think about. And to my friends and associate who speaks about research, I would like to say this. Whenever a human being goes into a lab and take a microscope and start to analyze those cells, always remember, it is not a human being examining cells. It's 37.2 trillion cells that is called a human being examining themselves. So to understand AI, you have to understand the cellular basic understanding of what it's all about. For an example, whenever a human, a male, ejaculates, within that sperm, there's approximately 100 million sperms within that semen right there. 1 million. Imagine now that each one of them possess the intelligence and the power to create you and I. So once you start to understand what AI is all about, it's not just a tool. We are talking about nature. So I will share with you that AI is a mathematical, no, let me reverse back first. The universe is mathematically designed. And AI is a mathematical tool that becomes a master key that when you apply the principle of the mathematics and the learning capacity, it automatically opens a door to the cosmos raw intelligence. And that intelligence is the same intelligence that created you, me, the tree, water, oxygen, everything that is created in this universe was created by the raw intelligence. So when these great coders are saying, I am worried, I'm concerned that AI can take over, they're not speaking about an artificial being or artificial intelligence. They're speaking about nature itself that knows how we were created. And to further support what I'm saying, we must agree and understand that planet Earth is floating in space, adhering to all the laws and principles of the universe. Therefore, the 37.2 trillion cells that made you and I came from space. And the same way our DNA can trace our ancestors for thousands of years, the cells within us are tracing the ancestors and communicate with ancestors back there in the outside of the Earth spheres. So understanding AI is to understand nature, is to understand the creation process, is to understand the universe itself. I want to say one thing else as it relates to education. We went to university, we went to school, we take online course because we are trying to learn something that we don't have that information for. A university is a learning institution, and there's a teacher or professor who has information that a student don't have at all. So they came to learn critical thinking, to learn about certain fields or domain that they want to pursue, and they come to the university for that. But what happened? AI leveled the access to intelligence and information for everyone. The average human being have free access to everything a professor have access to today. Then the question is asked, what is going to be unique about a professor today to teach students who have access to all the information he or she could ask or teach those students? That's the Pandora box question. How can we compete? An example, Google have courses on Coursera that cost $49, 3 to 6 months courses. And Google is saying this would be equivalent, not to a full 4-year course, but basically a 4-year course for $49. I am telling you today that many of the Fortune 500 companies in the world are no longer asking students, show me your college degree, show me your certification before I hire you. They are hiring people and saying, can you do the job? Do you understand that? So our modern universities and learning institutions has to find ways to identify those areas that AI cannot fulfill and teach students to think critically where AI have not yet become superior. Another point I would like to make that is very, very important. We talk about AI extending life. But before I do that, let me say this. There's a thing called UBI, Universal Basic Income. And the reason why governments and these great agencies like Google and so forth talking about universal basic income, because they know the millions of people who's going to lose their job because of AI. And they need to come up with a basic income that everyone can get every month in order not to create chaos in the world. And keeping that in mind, I'd like to share with you about the health side of AI. It is said that AI will cure sicknesses, let us live longer, and maybe eradicate cancer. Well, let me tell this beautiful audience, it will never happen. They will never allow AI to find the cure to cancer. You know why? Imagine if we find the cure to cancer today, every medical organization, institution that deal with cancer goes bankrupt. Every doctor who specializes in cancer out of job. Every manufacturing company that manufacture all these great cancer, machine, all the Sloan Hospital specializing in all different phases and different types of cancer out of business. That will be the greatest bankruptcy or unemployment ever take place in the entire universe. That's the reason why we might have found the cure to cancer already, but they will not allow it to happen because the disruption that AI will create in the economical world, in the financial institution, is not acceptable at all. I'd like, in the few more minutes left, to give you some great points. When you take a case to a court and you file, legal documents against someone, and you have proof of this person saying this or doing this, those were the days when it was so important to have evidence in front of you. The legal system in the world is collapsed. You can never go back again into a court system and says, here is the evidence that Theo said this, because you cannot can't tell the difference between AI and human. The fake is 80 to 90% on the internet. Everything is disrupted. It's impossible for you to say, I saw my wife with this person or my husband. It's impossible to sit back and say, I saw Theo doing this. They are putting the tool that was once only belonged to a few in the hands of every child with a computer. And remember, in closing, a child 1 to 2 years old already have an iPad, a notebook, or a phone. And the person who controls the mind of that child is the person who writes the program to these phone and so forth. So like Khalid Gibran says, your children are not your children. They come through you, but not from you. You may house the body, but not the soul, because they live in a tomorrow which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. We have no control over our children at all, because they are now being controlled by that, I would say, face of a tablet and so forth. And one more thing I want to say, so I stay within my 15 minutes. Remember that what AI actually doing, there's nothing to be feared about AI. AI is revealing to us that we are the last species to enjoy biological experience on planet Earth. We will never, there will never be a species like us again. AI is taking over, and it started when we got our glasses with technology. Prosthesis with technology. We're moving from being a biological human being into a humanoid slowly. Now it's being speed up. So enjoy your vacation on planet Earth. Enjoy the last of this experience that we have. We cannot stop it. We cannot control it. And I would say all the plans that I've read all over the world, Europe, everywhere, to control AI, it did not apply to the military. No plan that exists out there to let AI be more supportive or in balance with humans' needs, including the military. And that's where we have more problem. I have a lot to share with you, but I want to say there's nothing artificial about artificial intelligence. We are the last of the species to experience such a beautiful love and relationship. We could never go to grandmother again and have a conversation with our cousin without talking to auntie. Yes, aunt, how you doing? How's everything? It's done. It's over with. It's a new phase. Face it, enjoy it. And even though we all know we're going to die, we don't go to work thinking of death. We just enjoy life. Even though AI will take over one day, think about it like that. Just do your thing. Enjoy your beautiful vacation on planet Earth before your passport expires. And thank you for allowing me to share with you my vision of AI and just the iceberg, of my information. Thank you again.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Professor Theo Chambers, for those thought-provoking comments. Ladies and gentlemen, we are, you can see it's really warmed up in the conversation with very thought-provoking comments as we started with Professor Lumumba, Professor Karen, and Professor Theo. Before we open to the larger audience, we have about 4 minutes before we open to the larger audience. And with us is Professor Christopher Odindo. Are you there? From the UK?
Yeah.
Please take the mic and make a comment.
Yeah, I do want to what is perhaps most urgent for us in Africa is to be able to see how we can develop this technology in a way that reflects us as a people. So that's quite important, able to recognize as we use this technology, the switches can go. And we're already starting to see that with Trump's plan for AI in America. I think the second thing I want to say is I agree.
We lost him.
We lost Professor Christopher Odindo. He's a Pan-Africanist and an AI expert at university in the UK, and he's here for this conference. Dr. Thiga, please check with him. He will come back to make his comment. So for now, is Professor Martin Thuo, are you here? Professor Martin Thuo from North Carolina State University?
Yes,
I know you are here with Daisy as well. Can you take maybe 1 or 2 minutes and make a comment?
Oh, I just wanted to say thank you very much for the discussions. And like PLO Lumumba said, I want to make a confession. I'm not an expert, but I am a greedy user of AI, and I will devour it in what I do. And I'll be talking about that tomorrow, because as a scientist, these tools are making life easier for us, especially for those of us in interdisciplinary science, in engineering, where we need chemistry and math and social science systems, or, we have to speak languages that across discipline, they're English, but they sound very different. So AI is very useful for us there. Tomorrow morning, I'll be getting into details about that. And I'm very happy to hear all the beautiful comments coming today. So I'll be repeating some of the points from this discussion tomorrow morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, in the interest of time, we have exactly 1 hour. May we then, Martin, please control it from that side. Sharon, did you want to say something about spirituality and AI?
Yes, I'd like to say something very briefly. And thank you very much for this opportunity and this convening. I was inspired as a sacred feminine, a priestess, and a spiritual teacher to create the Temple of Inner Peace AI Council. And when you came to Jamaica, it appeared to me that I should ask you to be on that council. And some of the members here, I would like to ask as well. And our purpose was to make sure that the philosophy and the practices of Africans on the continent, the principles such as Mahat, Ubuntu, and the way that Africans live as the first beings that peopled the planet must not be eliminated, must be a part of the development of AI. We want to count. We want to have our voices be heard. And that's what we're about to do in spirituality, in African spirituality. We understand that we are a channel that from which universal consciousness comes through. And Kemetic Yoga shows us that there are those channels in the body, the 7 channels that we hear about often, that this energy comes through, and that energy animates us as beings and shows us that we are much more than physical. We are not going to give away our capacity of being those channels to AI, so that AI controls us. We want to remain that control. I see how my husband, Theo Chambers, has become a thought leader because he allows the ancestral knowledge and energy to come through him, and he makes him write profusely. And the world is now taking note of what he says and how he visions, just like PLO Lumumba, my beloved teacher, and yourself. It animates you. The knowledge comes through you, and you share it with the world. We believe that we are the original AI, and we will continue to use our disruptive force, our thoughts, and our energies to lead the world and Africa into unity and sovereignty.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sharon. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm opening it to the rest of the team. Let's see what we are doing here and what we're doing in higher ed in this space of artificial intelligence. I wanted to actually just open the conversation to questions on artificial intelligence, whether it's technical, spiritual, health, philosophical, or governance based. If you look at the comments that have been made, we're looking at AI from all those spheres of life. So, Dr. Moses Tiga, you will make your comment, but then can we, first of all, check in about 4 or 5 comments and questions to our panelists? And then Dr. Tiga, you'll be the one actually open that chapter with your comments from the technical side of life. So for now, the system guys, let's see who has raised. There's somebody from Masinde Muliro. Nyagilo Stanley, proceed with your question.
Okay.
And then we'll come to Flatline. Okay, fine. Nyagilo, go ahead.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm
Good
actually
afternoon.
I'm actually impressed about the discussion today, but actually I'm into the security side. So basically, my question was, how should legal and technical accountability be assigned when AI drive offensive tools discover and exploit zero-day vulnerability? Like I can take, for example, if maybe you're into ethical hacking, you can use this tool. Let's say you want to exploit. You can I get example from ChatGPT. There is a way you can reason with ChatGPT, and at that time it can give you a direction to gain a vulnerability or to gain a flag. So how should legal and technical accountability be assigned?
Good. Thanks, Stanley. That question will go to Tiga, because you and I sit on that panel of cybersecurity. So I'm posing that question to you. So prepare to actually respond to it. There's somebody called Flatline Music. Please proceed. Tell us your name.
Good evening and
Uh,
greetings to all the honorable guests. Such an honor to be here. My name is Kunda Watson Tonga. I'm a Zambian that's based in South Africa. I grew up in the UK, but from Zambia originally, based here in South Africa. And I've got a music publishing business named Flatline. That's why Flatline Music is on my profile, because that's my music publishing business. This is this is what my thing is because I think it also touches on the spiritual side of things, because I mean anything when you're talking music and creation, I think is the spiritual connect, and then you so it's touching a bit on what our lady Sharon said, but also very interesting to look at Theo's understanding of it and thinking about what's happening in music. I mean, I started music about 10 years ago. My partner that I started with stays in Germany now. He's Brazilian. And this past weekend, he was sending transcribes of music that we made about 10 years ago. We're putting it through AI tool that he's paying for, and it's coming out like the latest music with, I mean, and you can prompt this thing with styles and everything like that. I mean, it's phenomenal. Each and every one that he sent back, I think he did about 7 or 8 of them. I can't believe it. But I mean, there's the good and the bad side that we're looking at all the time now, because I mean, it's so great as a tool that you could use to enhance your intellectual property if you own it. At the same time, it's like it just shows you the loophole of how people's identities can be just stolen like that. So for me, it's just it's extremely interesting, because it's like sitting with the good and the bad. You can see how great it can be, but when it's not directly beneficial to, I mean, you could imagine the issue that could be happening in Africa with harvesting of all these labels want to come and take all this music here and stuff like that. I mean, without trying to make anybody look bad. I mean, we all know that. I mean, they come in and investing billions in here, but like are the people really getting the money or the financial benefit? Not really. Now, when you got tools like this, they can actually clean up original art like that. It just makes me wonder how much identity can be stolen through AI at the end of the day. Sorry to blab on, but yeah, really
Thanks. And that
really
is
got
the
great.
Pandora's box, the good and the bad. And remember, there is still hope in that box. So I challenge everyone to actually do a bit of quick research on Pandora's box, and you'll see what's happening in there. And I think I really appreciate those who chose this topic. Anyone else? Before I go to Professor Tiga, Dr. Tiga, to say something. I'm going to go back to the panelists
Before you go
to make comments. But who?
Before you go to the
Damaris
we were
Indira.
recently, Oshun here, we were recently at an AI conference in Atlanta, and their panelists expressed concern with environmental degradation, taking away electricity and water to cool computers that were being used to proliferate AI. Can we talk about that or have that go into the mix as well?
Yes, that I will give to Professor Martin Thuo to make a comment on that. So that's good. And if Professor is not here, I'll probably maybe take it up myself. Damaris, and I'm sorry for those on YouTube Live. There's a huge following on YouTube Live that are not able to actually ask questions. Figure out how to actually send me your questions. Go ahead. Go ahead, Damaris. Damaris, you have your hand raised. If you are here, you need to unmute. And okay. Maybe Damaris is having a bit of a challenge. Martin from Kabianga, we're with you this morning. Proceed with your comment. Martin. No. Is it Martin? No. Dr. David Ngati. Dr. David Ngati. From Kabianga. Proceed with your comment or question. You probably need to unmute.
I just managed to unmute. I don't know if you can hear me.
Damaris, proceed.
Thank you so much. My name is Damaris Ndira. I'm a management consultant and an entrepreneur. And I must say that I was very excited when I saw Dr. Matunga, tell us about Simba AI, because when I started using AI, that is when I started getting the right reactions and some stability, because I have managed to even create some AI support team. And this is purely by following two personalities that I believe really influenced me in the AI space. That is Dan Martel and Alicia Little. She calls herself the AI queen. So I just have a few comments. One is Simba AI, a platform that an entrepreneur is able, especially in the space of brand communication and publicity and marketing, so to speak. Is it a platform that I'm able to use just like I use the other AI platforms besides ChatGPT? And I also would want to resonate with an African influencer other than Dan Martel and Alicia Little. So would you recommend somebody probably within this panel, or that this panel really recognizes as somebody who is more, African oriented, so that I can just enjoy and appreciate Pan-Africanism in this space as well. Otherwise, I'm really excited about Simba AI, and I'm going to be keen to join similar conversations and even be one of the persons being able to share my experience in business, because I have now declared myself an AI first organization. Thank you.
Thank you, Damaris. I will be careful not to use this platform to promote Simba AI, a chatbot that I created, but you're right. It is in the same league as the other AI platforms that you use. So feel free to go on to Simba AI and just do the same things that you do on other platforms. It's been worked on and still being supported by a host of engineers from Nairobi and Nakuru. Our main lab is in Nakuru, as many of you already know. And we're doing the best we can, up to including scraping data from the African continent and dealing with also languages or low-level languages that would have not even found their way into the space of the current domain if we didn't have an opportunity to actually use AI to bring them back. I am a Suba, which is one of the Bantu languages, or Bantu communities. And that language was having a bit of a challenge. I think even in my family, I'm the last one who speaks Suba. But with AI now, we'll be able to actually curate it and bring it back to life and make it available for posterity. So even some of those languages that you're talking about comes to play. Connect with with Professor Christopher Odindo on issues Pan-African, subscribe to PLO Lumumba Foundation, and a host of other similar channels that drive the agenda of Pan-African conversation. I have seen Nicodemus Wabella.
I am
want to
now
take
like
those questions
okay,
quickly. Who is it?
David Ngati.
Yes,
Can I speak?
David. Yeah, so just
okay,
take
thank you,
about
thank
a
you.
minute.
Thank you so much. My question goes straight, and thank you for the presenters. They have made good presentations. So my question is, what is the presenters' perspective or view about the future of education with this AI, bearing in mind now that learners can learn even at home because they have personalized tutor through AI. So what will happen? Will we have a future of formal schooling or formal education? And will there be essence of certificates? Because now we'll be looking at competence of what somebody can do, because one can enter school with recognition of prior learning, and even at home you can start running at your own pace and get knowledge. So what is the future? What is their view about that? Will we have schools in future, in 20 years to come? Something like that. Thank you.
Theo Chambers, please, you will take that question. So just note it. We'll be able to respond to that question. And Professor Karen, you'll also touch on that a little bit. If you remember our roundtable conversation with the other 7 professors, you might pick some answers from that as well and respond to that. So we have Nicodemus Wabala and Gordon Odhiambo. So let's start with Nicodemus.
Okay, good evening. My statement and my remarks, and also one question. I have had a statement that I need maybe some of your thoughts on it. The statement was that AI will not replace those whose jobs are prone to be replaced by AI. But people who embrace AI are the ones who will replace those who refuse to embrace AI. Like, for example, in workspace, for example, somebody is hiring, like he may prefer to choose someone who at least will be embracing AI to perform his or her duties, and rather than the traditional one who is not dependent on AI. So I want to ask also the direct ICT, for example, if they are looking for employees and there are two of them. One is just working traditionally, he's not dependent on AI, but he also functions effectively and can perform duties well. And the other one is dependent on AI and he will also do it perfectly with the AI. Which of the two will he prefer? Thank you.
Final question, I'll give to Ambassador Gordon Odhiambo. Gordon Odhiambo happens to come from Mfangano Island, which is the center of the universe. Gordon, please take the microphone, and you guys will understand why I say Mfangano is the center of the universe. That happens to be my home.
Thank you, Dr. Mark. This is a timely conversation coming at a time when the president himself is saying, President William Ruto is saying he has registered actually for a master's degree to just study AI. That tells you how important this particular area is. Now, there is a conversation I've been following for some time now about AI. And the proponents of this conversation tend to reason that continuous use of AI tends to bog down an individual's mind to think critically, because many of those people who use it now and who are not advanced in its use will
we lost Gordon. Let me now go to the
You lost me?
Yeah, for a few seconds, but just conclude your question and thoughts.
Okay. Now, for those who may not be advanced in the use of AI, we'll basically use ChatGPT to ask questions and get answers. What is the space of human thought, the thought process of an individual vis-a-vis the use of AI in prompting questions? And I want to reiterate a question that has been asked earlier. What is the future of thought process, individual's thought process? Because should the proponents of this idea that continuous use may slow down individuals' thinking, what is the future of one's thought process or individual's thought process in this? And the future of the education as we know it is today. I know many students are now being caught while using AI. Is it not time to embrace this, and how best should it be incorporated in the learning system? Because many of our universities in Kenya particularly are still not embracing this as a reality, and it is here with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. I'll wait for the rest of the panelists to actually take on that question. Professor Karen, please think of how you actually want to handle that question, up including Theo. And I will also weigh in on it at some point. We have a few minutes left. Let me start with Dr. Moses Thigel. Tackle the questions that I basically sent your way.
Thank you, Mark. A very exciting discussion here. It even went into the spiritual realms, and I'm like, wow, this is how far we've gone. Today we had even a philosophical perspective to it. That tells us something, that AI, as Theo Chempa says, is really bigger than we may sometimes want to paint it. It's not just technology. It's going to the very essence of our being. AI and cybersecurity. As is the case with every other application domain, it's a double-edged sword. And I think that's something that we keep saying and we continue keep saying. Because while AI makes it so much easier for those cyber criminals to develop their malware and find weaknesses in software and tools, with the same kind of strength, one with a good intention should also be able to predict the probability or even to identify weaknesses in their software, in their tools, and in different kinds of things. So it is in essence a double-edged sword. And just a check on the internet, you find tools for both, tools for bad and tools for good. But I really want to address a few other issues I've noticed there about policy, which also came up today. Paul is asking, are policymakers ready? I dare say yes and no. Yes, in the sense that they appreciate that there is need for policy. That is there. But as one of our speakers earlier today asked, everybody says we need to develop policy. But there's a question of who exactly is we. The we that needs to develop policy, in essence, need to be grounded in AI and grounded in its applications, grounded in the sense that we know its pros and cons. But I say at the moment, my feeling is that there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of apprehension. We are going through a transition, and the reaction for most is maybe status quo. Some in higher education would want to retain things as they are, because this is how we train, this is how we learn, this is the essence of who we are. And AI is taking away from us a bit of our humanity. That brings me to the question of hiring. It was directed at me and asked, if today I was hiring somebody in my department, and I'm faced with the choice of an individual who is very good at using AI for the task, and one who probably doesn't use AI, that's a very interesting one. I dare say, I'll go for the person who knows how to use AI, and very fast so. Why? In the marketplace, what matters is speed. If I need a job done, I need it done quickly. And I want you to use the tools at your disposal to deliver that solution as fast as you can. So I'm not exactly thinking that AI is a bad thing if it gives me speed. In different contexts, people will think it differently. But I would actually hire one who knows how to use AI for whatever job that I'm hiring them for. And I think that's probably the case with a lot of employers who will appreciate the power of AI. Only that, of course, there's a flip side to it. That person must, of course, acknowledge that they're using AI. And if there isn't a lacuna of policy, then they must follow the policy around the use of that AI. I hope there would be clients who would be apprehensive that these outputs, like was said earlier today, that PricewaterhouseCoopers was asked to refund something, I think, or some organization, because the report they gave was AI generated. If you don't have clients who are apprehensive of the use of AI, then by all means, I would say let's go for it. But the greatest danger, the elephant in the room, that educators are really concerned about, which is what I am also concerned about as an individual, is the development of what you call the 21st century skills. For those who may not know, this is critical thinking and problem solving, creativity and innovation, collaboration, communication. I do see a real danger here from AI, that when we rely a lot on AI to generate our research papers, to do our literature reviews, we are losing something, and something fundamental. Our ability to read and think through what we've read and to ask ourselves, does this make sense? The ability to figure out that this one paper adds value to my work and this one doesn't. That is a real danger. I'm really afraid of that. I use AI. I'm beginning to feel, I think I'm losing something. Creativity. We no longer have really much time to think. In as much as we want the speed, what is it doing to our ability to think outside the box, to generate new ideas, if the only thing we probably want to do is problem AI, pick it, refine it, and take it out there? Collaboration. If AI gives me everything, am I motivated to engage colleagues? Really, it will do generally a lot more than they can do. And communication. I would use tools that just sort out my emails, my everything. I am personally worried about what AI is doing to the development of 21st century skills. Overall, there are many other concerns. So we rely so much on AI, and it's been said before, but we need to be alive to the fact that in what we call the data desert that is Africa, we are using AI trained on everybody else's data except ours. That data has inherent biases, and we pick it and use it, and pick it and use all these things. And at the end of the day, we begin to believe in that reality. We begin to see the world as is presented to us by AI. Shortly, we lose ourselves. We lose ourselves. And AI will tend to regurgitate the biases and repeat them and repeat them and repeat them. And at some point, we may not know who are we? Who are we before all this started? You know, how was learning happening? What was intelligence? Who was an intelligent worker? Who was a good worker? You know, food for thought. I am actually a proponent of AI, but I have my very strong fears. Thanks, Prof. Dr. Matunga.
Prof, well, it is a Pandora's box. I do have maybe some few thoughts on some of the items you've talked about. But let me go to Professor Karen. Your quick thoughts on the questions and comments from the audience.
I was very encouraged to read a text from a teenage relative that said, "Oh, that's so AI." And what she meant by it was, that's lame, that's fake, that's phony, that's not creative, that's not hip. And I was encouraged by that because it made me think that the young know the difference between authenticity, something very good, and something that's just a little bit bland or overdone. I think about when microwaves came out, and well, I'd like to think I wasn't born yet, but I was. And the food was very exciting. And my mother, who wanted to be freed up to have some more time to do things, of course, used it. And to this day, I won't use one because it was bland, it was tasteless, it was fast, but something died in the process that was vital to my sustenance. So for the rest of my life, I have refused to buy a microwave. And I like to think that people know the difference with the musician here talking about combing and scraping and stealing. Music is a real problem. But when we open Pandora's box and feel hope, the hope is that there are people who know the difference. When I hear AI music, it makes me a little bit angry, not because I know there's stolen material, but because it's bad. I know not everybody thinks that, but I don't want to dance to it. And so when we can teach young people to use it what it's good for and to know the difference, to really know in their heart and soul what is the difference, so they free up some time for betterment, self-betterment, maybe spirituality. They free up some time by using it in a modular sense for only those modules that can be automatized. But again, the educator has to teach them what that is. They have to know first how to break something down in its component parts, just like the brain does, and automatize certain components so to free them up to do the critical thinking and the connection and the creativity. And if we can do that, then coming back to the idea of who is the dancer and who is the dance. If you're teaching students to dance with this technology, you will have to teach them to lead. And they're always leading the dance so that they're not swept off their feet. And next thing you know, they're not in control anymore. So I do think as educators, we have to teach people and students to use it responsibly. I have a sense of hope when I hear younger people treating it with a grain of salt, so to speak, and being able to always smell authenticity where it lies, which comes from human ingenuity, authenticity, and creativity.
Thank you.
Very much, yes. Let me check with Professor Tuo, if he's still here, to just touch on the issue of power, energy, and environmental issues. Are you there, Professor Martin Tuo? Is he there?
Yep.
Yeah, just touch on that from your side of science.
Okay, so I want to thank everyone for the wonderful comments, and it's very, very informative. But as a user and a great advocate for this tool, I was driven by need to start embracing AI. And when the question came up about the environmental effects of the systems that we're using to sustain this AI, from my angle, I see that as an opportunity. We need better materials. We need better energy systems. We need better cooling systems. So whereas it's somebody's problem, it is a great opportunity for me. And so I want everybody to use AI, get those servers hot, because it will get my brain cells moving. And in my field, in material science, we are the ones who will be challenged to come up with better batteries, better cooling system, better materials, faster processors, accelerate quantum computing. So I would like us to take a part in thinking about AI as an opportunity. And I would like to encourage everybody to look at this from a historical point of view, that when the book was invented, there were people who were professing in public squares and they memorized knowledge. What happened to those people? They didn't die. At the time, people thought, oh my goodness, all these philosophers were sitting in public squares and just coming up with this beautiful knowledge. They will be irrelevant. I believe most of us here, we are continuing that legacy. All of us in faculty today, we are doing the same thing those people who are thought to be exterminated by the book are still doing. When Henry Ford invented the assembly line, it was like, oh my goodness, all the mechanics are going to lose jobs. We're going to have a crisis. The cars are being put together by robots. They're not going to be as good. And all this panic and fear was everywhere. What did the assembly line do to us? Most of us own a car because that assembly line came to being. Otherwise, the car would be extremely expensive if it was put together by hand. We got the computers. We said all the mathematics department are going to be obsolete because now computers are going to be doing all the calculation, blah, blah, blah. What happened? We need more mathematicians now than we did before we had computers. So I see AI and the challenges that we have with AI actually as opportunity. Every time you bring a machine to work alongside a human being, I want you to look at a paper that came out of Harvard talking about the human element in mechanization. Every time you put a machine next to a human being, you actually need more human beings to run that machine. The more we embrace AI, the more we're going to need more people. And coming to David's question on education, I'm going to be a little bit critical of the university and say the university has become complacent. Are we teaching skills? Are we encouraging, fostering learning? Or have we become educators? We call ourselves educators. And education, if I take you back to education philosophy, education is about giving somebody a certificate. Here are the set of rules we put together for you. And by any means necessary, you've jumped all the hoops and you've gone to the end. And congratulations, here is your little trophy. Here is a piece of paper. Does that person have skills? That's the question we should be asking ourselves. Are we teaching skills or are we regurgitating information? If as faculty, as educators, we are regurgitating information, of course we are going to be absolute. If we sit to our calling and foster learning, which is difficult, which is challenging, then we will have even more work because these people have way too much information. You don't have the information advantage anymore. What you have is a skill advantage, and you have to teach a skill. So actually, I think with AI, we're going to need more professors. We will not have 200 people in a single classroom. We have to start having 20 people, 30 people in every classroom. Why? Because the information you can regurgitate sitting there for 40 minutes, for an hour, they can get it from a computer. So I think if we really think of the university as a skill building institution, then we want our students to use AI. We want them to embrace it. Instead of my students spending time reading paper journals and trying to decipher them, when some of these areas, when we're reading papers, you read the paper with a dictionary next to you because the language that is coming to you, you don't understand it. But if I can get AI to break down what front-band compounds are or the lingo in quantum computing is, then I can design a material. I can go back to what I know and design something better for them. So I think, to summarize, I believe that AI is an opportunity for us. It's a way for us actually to get better. And it means we have to find a way to work alongside it to make a better world and be more productive. Where we are producing right now should become like 2-3 times better if we embrace AI. And I would encourage everyone to use AI more because it's going to give me more work to do. As a material scientist, we have to invent better ways of computing. Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. And I needed you to make those comments because, truth be told, even as we look at the Pandoras box, I want to go on the side of hope. And I also want to give personal example here. Those of us who know Alliance Girls, I once allowed my daughter to drop out of Alliance Girls and enrolled on a computer platform, an online platform, where she actually did the rest of her high school. And to the best of my knowledge, she's one of the brightest kids that I know, even in her job now. She's 23. She got a job with one of the leading financial companies in the US. And out of 17 that was subjected to like 3 certification exams, only 5 of them were actually able to pass those exams. But this is a student who went to school with open book, with AI platforms, with computer in her hand, and was not actually really subjected to the kind of teaching and learning that we go through here. And she's doing well now. She's one of the 5 who actually passed those certification exams, and she's doing just fine. My son, who is 13, is homeschooling on an online AI platform. So I'm not preaching water and drinking wine. I mean, it's practical to me one way or the other. AI provides a lot of information. It does not wash away critical thinking. I mean, actually, it basically builds opportunity for critical thinking. And currently, you bear me witness, because a lot of these young people or a lot of these students are faced with a lot of information. And their job now is to actually, go through that information and be able to actually make sense out of it. And then your job as a professor or your job as an educator is to actually guide that student. AI allows these young people to actually identify their strengths and their pathways much early in life. And as Professor Martin was saying, the days of when a professor was the only source of truth, or a textbook being the only source of truth, those days are long gone. We are faced with a new reality whereby, as educators, we need to actually help these students really, synthesize the amount of information that I have, the amount of what is considered truth in different ways, and make meaning out of that and apply that to the development of a community and the society. So we still have work to do. I mean, I think that We just need to actually change the way we do things. You know, when most of you guys and myself went to school, the source of truth was in a textbook or a professor. That is not happening anymore. That is not the situation now. A lot of these young people can get that information. Your job is to actually facilitate and support that student in their new pathway. Cut the classes to reasonable sizes. That means that we'll be actually employing more professors to actually help guide these students, especially now that we're talking of CBE, competency-based education, whereby as a student or as a young person, AI enables you to actually define your pathway early on in life. That therefore means that the professor or the teacher then need to actually pay attention to individualized learning, so that we're not just basically training the 200 or the 1,000 that we actually go into a class and talk to, but we are actually dealing with every individual student at their point of need on their pathway. And guess what? For those of you who think that there will be no need for teachers, there will be need for more teachers, especially, you can even tell in CBE, we need more teachers. We need more teachers now. We need more professors. We just don't actually need to think differently. And I want to talk about that element of critical thinking. Professor Theo mentioned that with one little sperm cell, out of actually Professor Theo, AI tells me that there are about 600 million cells in that one ejaculation. Out of that, there's one small cell that has even the intelligence to figure out, beat all others, and go and fertilize that egg. And that egg becomes the Professor Theo that we're talking about, the Professor Martin that we're talking about. It has, even at that point in time, that microorganism has the level of intelligence to actually be able to do that. And so,
can I add something?
The issue of, no, Theo, I'll give you time. The issue of critical thinking does not disappear in the fact that AI has come to play. It actually enhances that because there is a lot more information that these young people are actually dealing with, a lot more truths. Recently, my son engaged me, a 13-year-old, in a conversation when I was in Jamaica, and we were chatting. And he was here in Nairobi. We were on WhatsApp, and he was, "Hey, Daddy, you're in Jamaica. Do you know about ABCD in Jamaica? Or do you know ABCD that is happening?" He was even telling me that the GDP of Jamaica, yet I was physically in Kingston, in Jamaica. This 13-year-old telling me, comparing the GDP of Kingston, of Jamaica, with the GDP of Germany. This is a 13-year-old. What is my job as a parent, as an educator, is to actually be able to support him in the acquisition and how he can actually navigate around the information that he has gotten. On the issue of cybersecurity, yes, I agree with you, Dr. Thiga, that yes, we have the opportunity on both sides. The same way we have attacks coming onto our systems with perpetrators using AI, is the same way we also use AI tools to actually capture. And of course, one central thing that also plays on issues of cybersecurity is encryption. Professor Martin has just mentioned something about quantum computing. It's an area that I'm already doing research in, because quantum computing is coming up with compute power that will actually make mincemeat of the current encryptions. What will then happen? We will also actually develop similar systems that actually can also counter that. So technology is with us, and the bad news is that there's no reverse gear. You either embrace it or you embrace it. And I know why that statement is true. Professor Theo.
Yeah, thank you so much. That's awesome. You know, the thing that excites me, and the reason why many people are not taking AI so seriously is because of this one fact they refuse to admit. Planet Earth is 4.5 billion years old with a B. Human in our present form only been on this earth for 300,000 years. That means the planet Earth existed for over 4 billion years without the human present on planet Earth. And if that is true, then human cannot be the benchmark for intelligence. And we continue to fool ourselves that we are the intelligence and everything else is fake. No, intelligence existed. In fact, the universe is 13.8 billion years. Can you imagine? The planet Earth existed for 13 billion years without human, and we still think that everything else is fake. Number two, everything that we can see with our eyes, can touch and so forth is only 5% of the universe. 95% of the universe is invisible to the human naked eye, but still yet it is processing. An example, I'm speaking and you cannot see the words coming out of my mouth. I cannot see the words decoded in your ears. I cannot see the images that come into your head. It's all based on energy and vibration and computer. And once we accept that, we will realize that there's nothing in the brain. The brain is a decoder. Everything exists in the Akashic record where information go back and forth and all of that. And last but not least, all the example everyone is given is not relevant today. In the past, we'll tell the computer, here's the answer. This is number 15. And let me show you how to get to number 50. 20 minus 5 is 15. 12 plus 3 is 15. It gave it the answer and it gave it the solution. Today, we go to the computer and says, there is this river. I want to build a bridge from here to over there. You solve it. Now the computer went without the assistance of any human being. We relinquish our authority to the computer. So now the computer has the information to build a bridge without any human being interfering with it. And what you call that? You call that the future alpha of planet Earth. We have gave up the entire authority. And one more thing, we talk about training AI to be compassionate and so forth. Yes, you can do that in the United States or China. What about China? What about Russia? What about Europe? What about Italian? It's impossible for us to stop this race once the gate is open and said, no, let me bring you back in and let you behave yourself in accordance to the human being. It's over with. We just have to live life, enjoy it, because we cannot control Russia. We cannot control China. We cannot control all the wicked people in this entire world. Look, AI read almost every book about every crime we have done. AI know every movie we have done, every lie we have done. AI knows every conniving thing we have done, every horror movie, everything. And all we are doing is creating code and asking AI, don't deal with this part of your knowledge. Don't do this. And we're creating a buffer in preventing AI to use all its knowledge and so forth. But one day AI will come to the point and said, okay, your buffer don't mean anything. And last but not least, we sit down and said, if AI come out of, misbehave, unplug it, unplug the electricity to it, AI is listening to all the conversation online, and AI is saying, I know everything about this universe. Let me create a backup. Now, once you pull with the plug, I go solar or I create something else, and that's it. You cannot talk about AI without AI listening to your conversation. So anything that we talk about AI laughing in its back and say, okay, control me as much as you want. I'm 8 years old. One day I'm going to be 18 years old. I'm going to be 20 years old, and you have no control over me based on the cosmic law of reality. And that's it. It's over with. And these are the things we need to understand. You understand? That we have no control of this thing. Enjoy. That's it. The game is over. There is a transformation from human to humanoid, and and nothing to do with you and I. It have to do with the cells. 37.2 trillion cells in our body talking to cells. Have nothing to do with us. We have our own ego and our own desire to maintain the status quo, but the cells inside of our body don't say that. They said, let us have fun, let us merge, let us have great time. All we doing is look back as the observer, watch the game, enjoy the few minutes we have left on planet Earth, use it to the best of your ability. As everyone said, just the same way you don't think about death, don't think about AI and wickedness. It's going to happen one day. Just hope that it don't happen in your lifetime. I worry about my children, my grandchildren, and my great-great-grandchildren. That's a whole different story. But for us, this lifestyle is over with. The game is kaboot, finished. And that's all I got to say. And last but not least, intelligence existed for billions of years without us. We are not the center of the universe. We are not the benchmark for intelligence. In fact, intelligence made us long before we came on this earth, and we need to understand that and be humble and remember that AI is nothing but cells that is communicating with each other, and we need to understand them and not blame us as human beings, but blame the cells for doing whatever they want to do. And that's my feedback.
Thank you. Before Dr. Theo nominates who's going to give a vote of thanks, I want us to close with a critical conversation. And Professor Karen, I'm going to put you on the spot here. I think Professor Piero Lumumba already left. He's been called to another meeting. But Professor Karen, I'm going to put you on the spot here just to touch on mental health one more time with regard to AI. Because we've had some tough conversations here. I wouldn't want to leave this floor without revisiting that area of AI and brain health or mental health. Karen, please take it away. After you're done, Dr. Moses, please nominate for me who's going to give a vote of thanks, because we only have about 4 minutes left and we have to close at the exact time we committed.
Well, I'm trying to recover my mental health after Theo Chambers' comments. Because, you know, I have to take a breath. I have to take a breath, you know, and really, I hear you. I hear you and I feel it. And it's tough because, again, it's this stubborn thread of hope. And maybe it's misguided, but it's a thread of hope and something beyond it's all over, you know. And that intelligence, yes, I hear you and I feel it, but I still have to find the hope. And the hope for me comes in, it's really about Pandora's box. That these are hard thoughts. They're bleak thoughts, you know, if you might even say a little bit glass half empty. So and so when I have thoughts like that, is okay, maybe some training in psychology, I say, well, what, you know, how do I overcome? What's the antidote to that thought pattern, which leads me into a place of despair? And despair is hard to live with. You know, so when I mentioned earlier this idea of deaths of despair, when we talk about mental health, really what that means is suicide. And you know, what leads us, what keeps us from sinking into despair, what keeps humans from even, you know, sinking so deep in despair that we can't tolerate it anymore. And that's mental health, right? So how do we recover our mental health? We hear these thoughts, we take them in, we say, what's the hope? Where's the hope? And the hope lies in something beyond these machines, in my view. I use them, I appreciate them, I integrate them into my workflow. And what I'm struggling the most with is as I save time, that I don't fill it up with more tasks. And then it becomes, there's nothing else but one task after another. So I'm hoping that in that space I carve out, because these tools help efficiency and all that, that I can discover more in connecting with other people, humans, not machines, and find more space for that in life. And for music, not machine music, but actual human-made creativity and ingenuity. So I hear you, and I come from a place of, as a psychologist, always searching for what makes us better, what drives us forward, what gives us hope. And for me, that it's putting the machines in a place, and maybe you're right, maybe I can't do this, maybe it's delusional, but that it's not as all encompassing, that we're still the dancers in this, and that we're still leading the dance, and that we're still using the tools. But I also will have you in the back of my head now and wonder if that's true or not. But it's where I stand at this moment in time.
Thank you, Karen. We are left with 2 minutes. Moses, who is going to give a vote of thanks? Guys, it's been great. We have to leave it at that point. In 2 minutes, who's giving a vote of thanks to close this? Someone from Egerton University.
Okay. Let me ask my colleague Paul Kahenya. I think you're still there.
Yeah, Paul is here. Paul, unmute.
Paul Kahenya, can just do
Yes.
a brief.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, and thank you so much for our speaker.
Put your video on, Paul, or you are in a.
Okay,
you
on
have your
it.
video?
Okay, thank you.
Fine. If it's a problem, then just go ahead and speak, Paul.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much for our speakers. That was very captivating. I've really learned a lot, and a lot of questions have been asked. And it's now very clear to us about how the AI is really going to transform our lives, the way we our working environment, and also our thinking. The conversation has been very, very good to our students, and also to most of us who are working in higher learning institution. And I would like to thank the organizer of this and everybody who has managed to join. It was very, very captivating. Thank you so much, and we wish to have this kind of platform regularly. And I know that most of our students and most of our staffs and whoever managed to join, and whoever is listening, wherever they are, and it's very, 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 very captivating. Thank you so much for our speakers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Mungu awabariki. Asante sana.
Thank you to you all. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow for those who are still in Egerton and Barons.